All right, we can start our work session. For 18th. First one on our list to discuss is 148 South Elm. Any comments from the board?
I had nothing.
Okay, so do I need to turn this on?
Yeah.
It says that it's rear and side additions, but they have the whole front porch on here. Is it the front porch? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the front porch looks like, to me, it's in the scope of the project because it's
Mhm.
much larger and extends all the way across the front of the house where the existing porch does not.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that that's a concern because if you read the description of like the historic description, it talks about that vertical element.
Yeah, and in general, so I guess I was glad to see that they gave us a image of what the house used to look like because the porch is different than it was. So changing the porch on the side, kind of in the same location and maybe expanding out is one thing, but changing that vertical element,
Yeah.
I think, and I actually also thought, I don't think that the way it interacts with that second story window is gonna work like they think it will. It's gonna have to have that flat area to get to the window and then, so that it slopes, and that's gonna look awkward anyway. So, and in general, from a historic preservation standpoint, I wouldn't go with it extending across there, but then it doesn't give that much architecturally, just give that much space or anything. I don't know.
Is this,
That was my one big thing. It was that
Front porch. Yeah.
that front porch and
Mm.
keeping it maybe, just over to to the one side like it's always been.
is this also a full redo of one we saw a few months ago? Cause I
don't recall.
I know the back garage.
So you did see this as a informational only,
Oh.
and you
okay.
did talk with them on this project for those of you that were on the board as an informational only.
Okay.
And it's my fault for not clarifying the title. I did it quickly.
Oh, that's
so
okay.
I didn't add the front porch, but this is one that you did do a informational review with the architect ahead of time
Okay.
before it
okay.
came to you.
My concern is also about the metal roof. It really doesn't fit the neighborhood when you drive down Elm. Those are shingled roofs. It just is, and to me, it's just not in keeping with the architectural style. And as far as another item in keeping with the architectural style, I believe that the fish scales and the gable should be retained and not changed to the shingle style siding. I mean, the fish scale is a part of the style and it's a part of the historic fabric of the building. And yeah, if you look at the preservation guidelines, it does call for the siding to be replaced to match the original. So I think it would be appropriate to maintain that. And also, looking back at the historic photos, there's always a half round element in that front gable. And while, the existing gable louver might not be the most attractive thing in the world, another half round element that's more appropriate, I think, should be added there in order to maintain that.
So one thing that I did feel is it would have been really helpful to have the existing elevations that we often get so that we could compare what exactly is changing, because couldn't necessarily see what all was being done, which is what we need to see. So,
They are bringing copies of the existing elevations to the meeting.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think when I reviewed this one, I just looked at the rear and side. I didn't realize they were doing the front, but I think the comments about the fish scale and retaining the vent makes sense to me. I'm not sure I had an issue with the material of the roof, myself. So those are my comments. right, anything else on that one? Obviously discuss that. Public hearing as well. Next one, we have 41 Marshall Place, window placement, also historic district. Any comments from the board?
I'm glad they're putting him back in there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Other than that.
I wholeheartedly agree. This is great.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree.
At first I was confused what was different. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's missing windows.
Mm. All right. That looked good as well, so we can move on to the next one, which is 8 Marshall Place, window, also window replacement. Any,
My only comment was I think that they should retain the grids,
Yeah.
just because the rest of the house has grids.
Agreed.
I agree. And also, the small pane windows are an historic feature that's specifically called out in the National Register nomination. And I think you lose a lot of texture and a lot of character, eliminating those small panes. So, if they feel very strongly that those windows need to be replaced rather than restored, the original grill pattern style would need to be retained.
Was the register attached or what door do you?
Yeah,
Oh,
you want, it's the last sentence.
Yeah, I agree. Keep the Montans.
all right, I had the same comment. It was a question on my list as well, so that will be discussed in the public hearing. Moving on, next on the list, we have a pre-approval, so the next one to discuss at the work session is 302 Insfall Drive. All right, comments from the board?
For me, when I compared the photos with the drawings of the existing house, there were many, many discrepancies. The existing front bay, the windows are not drawn the right size or the right style. Those windows should be unequal sash. There should be grills in the top. And it looks to me like that the center portion of the bay is wider than it's shown on the drawings. And also the windows look like they're, in the photograph, look like they're much taller than they're shown on the drawings. And that kitchen window also, which is immediately to the right, that needs to be wider and the grills need to be shown. The existing window on the back is glass block and not a double hung, and all of these are noted on the plan as existing to remain. So it's very hard to judge what the final is going to look like when there's so many inaccuracies in the existing. The basement windows need to be drawn and the spacing of the existing windows on the left don't match the photos. The garage is taller than it looks in the photos, and then there's just a lot of labeling that needs to be cleaned up as far as architectural elements that are mislabeled. So I feel real strongly that all those things would need to be corrected before we could accurately review the design. And there's an existing window in the side of the garage, an existing door in the rear of the garage, and the plans and elevations don't address those at all. I was wondering if those are staying or going. And the front door surround, that's not addressed either. And then the trim components, like the trim or the siding components, like the trim, the corners and the rake are not shown. And the front covered porch needs to be developed more fully so we can actually see what it looks like. It just is, looks like it's sort of stick built and not attached right at this point. So that would need to be addressed. And then also, I think there's a good opportunity to relocate that downspout from the center of the front elevation, move it to the corner. And I don't know that those two new the front gables really add anything to the design, those reverse gables. To me, it almost seems like it would be cleaner and less expensive to just eliminate those. That can be an item for discussion, but for me, it just needs to be represented accurately in the graphics for us to be able to effectively review it.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, you covered a lot of my comments as well. I think-
I'm going off this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dormers on the top don't align with the windows, so if
Yeah.
they did want to keep those, it would be.
That was
nice
one,
if
yeah,
they
that was
were-
my first
yeah,
comment. Yeah.
I guess.
Well, and maybe do something to
Maybe
them
don't.
that makes them, so there's a point to them being there
Yeah,
instead of just
if you
sticking
keep
them
them.
on the house.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Like,
To
just take
integrate
'em off.
them, yeah,
Yeah.
either lose them or integrate them in
Yeah.
a logical manner.
Right, because on the side elevation, I think the front of the dormer is even set back from the plane of the front wall. So if you pull it forward, then cut the gutter so that,
Mhm. That'd look
it-
nicer.
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Do something
Swap it around.
interesting if they're gonna
Yeah.
put them there. Or just get rid of them.
Yeah.
They're not needed.
Mm-mm.
And I was wondering about the, from a detail level, how the brick first story details with the flashes with the
That's true, too,
second,
yeah.
like, I get how they set the studs back to align with the studs below, but then you have this weird water table that, I
Mhm.
don't know if you can somehow pad it out and have the siding lap the brick more traditionally than that sheet metal flashing detail.
I was thinking maybe if they added some trim there that stepped it back so that you
That
could
work.
flash, that way it would flash instead of having such a horizontal area, they
Mhm.
could
Yeah.
step it a little bit to help with that because I understand the issue of why they have that situation, but
Yeah, like a
The-
true, like a true piece of water table trim of some sort. that-
yeah, something,
Right.
stick it on there and so it eases the
Water, yeah.
whole deal.
Yeah.
Something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also the existing chimney, I think, is lower than what's on the elevations of the new, so, but it wasn't indicated if they're gonna actually extend the chimney. And if it is, what material is it? And if it's brick, does it match the brick of what's below?
I also had a note, they could maybe add a window to bedroom 14 on the side elevation.
Yeah, I had that same comment. All right. We'll discuss that one. The next two on the list are going to be pre-approved. So last in our work session is 818 Holland Avenue.
My notes I had, to add windows to the south elevation on the second floor. To help break up that elevation, either in the bedrooms or maybe transoms in the closets. And then I was wondering about the materials at the garage, do they match the house? Do the window styles in the garage match the house? And then the garage door looked pretty unique, and I was curious if that was actually what they were gonna install.
And I didn't see where they called out the chimney, if it's gonna be a sided chimney or a brick or
Hmm.
what it is.
Material.
I think it would be helpful to add a window into the master bedroom on the north elevation. And also maybe just for better balance at the front porch, a column just to the left of the front door, I think would balance that out nicely.
That's a good point. Yeah, that would help a lot.
Yeah, that would look fun. Seems like it's missing
Yeah.
one. Didn't notice that.
And these are just suggestions. The next item, those are suggestions only, is to maybe add another window into the kitchen on the side elevation, and just perhaps consider adding some gable louvers or something to the garage, so it's not a little less plain, but those are suggestions only.
So that's columns on the porch. Did anyone say anything about that? What the style of the columns will be, or are they, was that said?
Mm-mm.
I was wondering that.
Yeah. it
Are they
doesn't look
just
like there's
post
a-
or what? Or,
Look like just
Yeah.
posts.
because they could use a little bit of front
the
porch
Capitol or-
appearance. Yeah,
Something.
something to cover up the hardware kind of thing. you know?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the stone veneer on the front porch, it dies at that corner board, I'm assuming.
Oh, didn't notice that.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the south exposures, the south elevations exposure is, but it'd be nice if that stone veneer would wrap. Maybe to the chimney, but that might be a big ask.
Mhm.
Huh. It's a bit too much of a veneer there.
Yeah.
Look, instead of looking like it's actually stone.
Now, if the neighbor's right next door and buried, then that's maybe different. Well, actually, there aren't any neighbors, are there?
All right, does anyone have any additional comments for that? All right. That's our work session. We're going to take a pause until 5:30 and then we'll resume our official meeting. So everyone just hang on and we'll restart in 13 minutes. Thank you. All right, welcome everyone. We finished our work session, so the official Architectural Review Board meeting is now underway. Introduce Yolanda Wilkins and Jim Bailey with the city. We have Carol Dunke and Tracy Collins, Angela Thompson, David Yates, and myself, Bob Buckman, all volunteer architects that sit on the board. First item of business is review of meeting minutes from April 4th. And I believe Tracy, David, and myself were here, so we can, and Carol, sorry.
Yep.
So with that, may I have a motion on the minute.
I have a comment. I'd like to make an addition to the 810 Edgar notation, that it's approved with the revision of the roof line as submitted, with the understanding that both vertical faces of the roof notch will have shingle coverings to match the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will second. Second. That was your motion. Well, we'll make it a
call
motion.
So, we'll make it so.
Was that a motion then?
Sure.
Yeah.
And it got seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so the meeting minutes from April 4th are approved as amended. Good. All right, moving on to the next, we have a few pre-approvals. So we'll do those first. I'll read the project, ask for a motion from the board members. Refer to the handout from Mara and Yolanda in the motion. First one is 1041 North Bompard Avenue. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve 1041 North Bompart Avenue with the clarification that the porch roof will terminate under the trim of the window.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? 1041 North Bompard approved as noted. Next, we have 219 East Swan Avenue. May I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve 219 East Swan Avenue as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Swan Avenue is approved. And the last pre-approval, 808 Greeley Avenue. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 808 Greeley Avenue with the following understanding. The triple window as shown in plan is correct and will be on the elevation. The chimney flue will be extended to meet the code. The whole house will be recited. Windows will be replaced in a pattern of 3/1, and the garage windows and man door will have trim to match the trim around the garage door.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Greeley Avenue is approved as noted. All right, at this point, we'll move to the public hearing portion and any projects after those. When we read out your project name, if you would come forward to the microphone, introduce yourself, and we'll discuss your project. First one is 148 South Elm Avenue. Anyone here for that? Good evening.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Lori Fumagalli. I'm the architect for the project.
Hello.
Welcome, Lori.
I think the homeowner is by
Oh.
Zoom. She had a sick child.
All right, we do have someone on from, great. And there we go.
You jinxed us.
No.
I think we have to,
Yeah, that they had us relocate last time, so. Let's see what's going on. See if we can see.
I'm sure Mara will run up here.
Yeah.
Do we leave everything?
Yes.
talking about
I know. You brought it up. Wonder, can we have a meeting down there and keep it going?
That's what I was hoping she'd say. Bring it along and we'll just do it there.
Right.
Yeah,
I guess if we got like homeowners on Zoom and stuff.
yeah.
it. So the.
Okay, that was better than the last.
All right. So are we back online? Oh, the homeowner's no longer on?
They're in the basement.
Yeah.
No, the Zoom.
Right, she's in her basement.
Right.
Lori, would you have a way to call the homeowner and let
I
her?
told her when we were, she told me to tell her when we were coming back, so
Yeah.
we were leaving the hallway, I texted her, but.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we want to loop back to that one maybe or something until? the
Yeah, Laura, do
homeowner
you
can
want
come
us to
back?
wait until she gets back on? We can just move through the other projects and then,
Could bounce to somebody else, I guess.
Oh, she, okay.
Okay. Good.
Oh, here she is.
There
Yay,
you go.
Oh, well, is that her?
that's her.
okay.
Hi.
So, hi, welcome.
Yay.
All right, so we're back on to discuss 148 South Elm. Comments from the board, I think. Bearings here.
Yeah, that one.
Right. All right, so some of the comments, I'm sure you guys have read the comments and heard from our work session about some concerns about the front porch size and scale.
Yeah, since this is in a historic district, typically you'd want to keep the character defining features of the building. And in general, the massing of the building is fairly important, in particular on the front elevation. So we would want to keep that vertical gable element. Crossing it with the porch interrupts that, and is really not something we'd want to do as from a historic preservation standpoint, and it's in a historic district. So I appreciate actually seeing the images that show that the porch has been changed already. You know, it was something different before, but so changing it from what it is, that's okay, but it would need to be kept to the right. I don't know which way is north here. Anyway, to the side and away from that vertical element. And I also think that, like on this elevation, you show the roofing coming right up to the sill of the window, which you would not want to do. You know, that could certainly cause a water issue. So we wouldn't want that exactly like that anyway. So, pulling the roof over so that it's in the same location on the front elevation as it is now, I think would be the appropriate way to handle that particular part of it.
You mean on the big window there on at the gable part? Is that what the window you're talking about where the roof is coming up
Yes.
to?
Right.
Oh, well,
Well, it doesn't
we
matter
have plenty
anyway.
for flashing.
It's kind of irrelevant.
Right.
Well,
Because of going across there is just, it's not acceptable. There's pretty much not anything that you could say that's going to adjust my view of that. So, you know, not to, you know, discount what you might have to say about it, but I don't want to waste your time either. So the vertical element is just part of what the house looks like. And it's a historic district, so.
Yeah, so the question is, on the front porch, have you guys considered pulling the porch back to its original location and leaving the vertical left elevation in place as it is to preserve the historic defining characteristic of the house as it sits on the
Right. When
register?
when we originally presented, this a year ago, we actually had the porch extended into the side yard to the left another 8 feet. We had kind of wrapped it around the other corner, kind of we're making it a complete wraparound porch. And based on the comments we got back, we said, well, maybe we should cut that off and bring it back in. So we go, okay, we'll do that. And my comments or my thoughts on the porch across the front, because it was something that we considered and kicked around back and forth based on how we read or interpreted the historic features. And, you know, the roofing, you know, the cross sections of the main roof and the gable, I think are what is picked up when you talk about the historic features of the house. You know, the cross sections of the two roofs and the L shapes.
Yes, that's
And that-
also a historic feature. yes.
That is very apparent, and that you see in many of the houses, you know, that Queen Anne feature. And also part of that, in many of the houses, is full porches across, with still having that gable on the house. It
Right.
doesn't
So-
detract from the house.
So this is not about every house. This is about this house. So you have to keep that in mind when it comes to any historic building at all. Any historic property, we're looking at this property and the character defining features of this property. And if there's going to be an addition and so forth, yes, we would want to keep it. We could look to other examples. But this is what I'm talking about as far as the vertical element. This house has the vertical element. So if we were talking about a different house, you know, it may not have that kind of thing, so it would be okay. That might be okay. Whereas this house has the vertical element that's actually fairly strong, and it's getting weaker as years go by because people are making the porch bigger. But it still is a very, it's a very dominant feature actually of the house. So, you know, it's just, it is. I would, you know, I think the space of the porch isn't even that significant that you're going to get there. So, you know, pulling it over so that you still have that vertical element isn't, you know, really losing a lot of space.
Hi, I'm Denise, and if you don't mind me speaking for a minute, I appreciate your comments and what you're trying to do and preserve, you know, how the homes are here at Webster Groves. I appreciate that. And I guess, you know, I feel like that vertical element is still shown and highlighted, even like the section above the porch. I feel like you still see that. It's very prominent because it's a taller house, I guess. And I feel like the porch actually adds to the overall feel of that style of house or this style of house, just because, you know, porches are such a prominent feature on these types of homes. And that extending the porch actually, if we only extend the one side, it's going to look unbalanced. And extending it across the house actually makes the porch, I mean, more usable. Like it's just a nicer, it'll make it, you know, enlarge it so that, you know, we can get more use out of it. I think it'd make it more enjoyable again, which is a whole point of having those types of porches on these types of houses.
Thank you for your comment. I think, Carol, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I think that the metal roof is really not in keeping with the style of the house, and it is also not in keeping with the style of the district. When you drive up and down Elm, those are all shingle roofs on those porches. They're not metal roofs, and it just really isn't a fit with this style of house. And also, when you review the preservation guidelines, you'll find that siding needs to be replaced in the original configuration. So the fish scale siding would need to remain in the gables. If you want to replace the siding, it needs to be the fish scale style rather than the shingle style. And I'll also.
Scallops, you're like the
Yes, that
scallops.
fish
Okay,
scale scallops,
yep.
yes. And then also too, all of the historic photos show a half round element in that front gable. And I think it's very important to retain a half round element there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a gable louver that matches the one that's up there now, but just some half round element, whether it's a window or needs to be retained in that original size and the original location.
So it, originally that was a window. I don't know if you noticed the
Yeah,
original
yeah.
pictures.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then it was a vent, which I'm not even sure it was a working vent. It was
Oh, yeah,
probably just a panel, just for looks, covered the window up. So it doesn't really matter what we use.
It's a half round element when you just, if you do a revised proposal, I just need to call out what that element is and show it.
Okay.
It should be basically the same. So you can't just do kind of whatever half round shape or anything like that. It needs to
Same
be
size.
the same proportions
Size
and
up
so
there.
forth
Yeah.
within the gable.
Right. On the porch roof. Um, So-
I'll, do you mind if I
yeah, go
interrupt
ahead.
for a minute,
Go
Lori?
ahead.
Again, with the metal roof, I think the aesthetics of it look nice. There are other homes in Webster, Century Homes that have metal roofs or that same look. There's actually one on Maple, almost right behind our house that has that. And I'm sure there's other ones around town that have that as well. Um, I think it was just a nice look, and there's different features of that we could work with. So
Well, it's also, as was stated before, it's about this house in this district in this location. And the metal roof is just not in keeping with the style of the house. So I feel very strongly that that needs to be a shingle roof in order to fit in the neighborhood.
Would you accept like a metal shingle?
I would need to see the exact proposed material in order to determine.
Like I'm just throwing this out there because I don't have a solution. The metal was a solution because the pitch is low. It seems an obvious solution, but, there are other materials like a plastic shingle, but it's not,
Mhm.
as budget friendly, and I'm not even sure if this is as budget friendly, but it does have some historic, but we
Right.
could get a shingle look, with a metal.
So it would look like metal shingles.
Yeah.
I know. I just don't see that as being in keeping with the
That's
style of
Not
the house.
something you
No,
would consider,
no,
okay.
it just, it's too.
even if it's just the porch, not the whole house. I'm not
Correct,
advocating the
yeah.
whole house.
That's, I
I'm just
mean,
saying the
it's
porch.
right there on the front and it's the main feature that you see. So I think having a shiny shingle roof there would be detract from the whole rest of the house.
I don't picture a shiny shingle roof. I don't know what you're imagining.
She's talking about,
but
Lori's talking
usually
about
they're-
metal shingles.
Yeah, but
Okay, well, like-
they wouldn't be shiny, they could be painted.
Yeah,
this
that's
just,
the
this
picture.
just happens to be a
Right.
sample. I'm
Sil-
looking at the
silver
shape, not the color.
galvanized, right.
I'm not the
Yeah.
color.
Okay, well, wait, I'm reacting to what I'm seeing
Yeah.
here, which is a shiny silver
Yeah,
roof.
yeah, no, I'm looking at the shape. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the question is if it's metal or not, it would be of a color that's similar to the roof on the house. That's a question
Yeah.
for the architect and the homeowner.
Yeah, it would match the other roof. It wouldn't be some modern looking just a plain silver metal roof. If that's what you're picturing, it would go with the aesthetics of the
color,
house.
Right.
Availability, has, can look like, shingles versus like a standing seam sort of,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Just as an alternate solution versus, having to use shingles, which
Right.
is my concern.
What is the slope on that porch roof?
It's like it's under a 3.5,
Mm-hmm.
12, so I'm really concerned about it.
I would like to see the exact material that's proposed and how it would relate as far as the actual size and configuration to the house roof.
Okay.
Because if it ends up being like different size or has different shadow lines or something, it might look quite different. So I would be interested in seeing the exact material.
Okay.
But it's a possibility.
Okay.
Let's say that.
Yeah, and as far as as far as the roof slope goes, a 312, a certain teeter, Owens Corning will warrant that.
Yeah.
And if you do like an ice and water shield, especially underneath the, under underlayment, you'd be fine.
Yep.
I think that would detract from the concern that Angela has about the full width. I'm not as concerned about it, but I see where you're coming from on that.
Right. It goes
across-
against the
Yeah.
historic preservation guidelines.
Yeah,
So,
right, which is,
yeah,
but how binding are those? I haven't done.
that's the rules. That's what the
Rules.
Webster Groves,
Yeah.
that's the rules that we as a board are to be
They're-
following.
Yeah.
So we
They're-
follow those rules and those are the rules.
They're guidelines from what it says, but, and also just to add back to the porch thing, at the last meeting, when we presented, originally, some people on the board actually suggested extending the porch farther. So, I just want to put that out there that, everybody, it says something different. So, lots of messages, lots of mixed messages.
I don't know if we had the guidelines in front of us too, the description, because that's what got me concerned about the porch is when I read, how it described the building, and that was, a defining feature. I don't think we had that when we did it, just a preliminary, review of it.
You mean the historic description?
Right, yeah. Yeah, usually when we do preliminary, it's kind of more of a casual, just, we don't have background information or the historic photos and all that, so. If there was something different said at that time, that could be why.
We did, provide those old
Oh, you did?
photos
Okay.
at that time. We did.
Mhm.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was part of the package.
Okay.
Right, yeah, and when was that presented?
It was about a year ago,
Here.
Right,
right,
so,
beginning of May, I think.
right,
were
so
here. Yeah.
board members that are present tonight may or may not have been here that night.
So I think it was pretty close.
Yeah,
to
I know,
everybody.
I was here. I remember the project.
yeah, that's what I wasn't sure. I'm just letting everyone know, like, so we're all on the same page.
I
Um,
was here and I did express concerns about the size and configuration of the porch.
My view on the porch is, I feel like, it's transforming the house, but it could be removed and, therefore, I didn't have a problem with it extending across the front before or still now as it exists in the current design. But, I think everyone has a slightly different thought on it. So, really, for the architectural review board, for us to make comments to the designer and the homeowner and, the opportunity to make changes. Or if, you'd want to keep the design as it is, we can just vote on it as it is. And move forward from there. So, but before that, I want to make sure there's no other additional comments from the board.
I'm with Carol on the materiality of the porch roof being a concern. Going with a shingle would be my vote appropriate for that.
All right, so,
Can I check?
sure, yeah. Mhm.
Thank you. Hoping that, that could be a metal shingle, but,
Yeah.
we have it, I mean, I have it also in the metal standing seam, but
In my, in my opinion, there are Queen Anne Victorian era metal shingle styles that are like a diamond and,
Mhm.
but I'd think the whole house would want that versus just the porch, which then might be a.
Then- Might be, yes, yes, exactly.
Right.
And that was typically lead coated roofing.
Turn coated,
Turn coated,
turn coated steel. which-
steel, which gives a very different appearance than what we usually use
Right.
today. Which, because it did look nice in some houses, but it's probably not a material that you're gonna want to use.
It's the most expensive roof you
Yeah.
can put on anything on the planet.
It's
Yeah,
often
that
used.
that wouldn't be
to-
worth it.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I don't think so.
So on the revised elevation, the scallops, the vent is shown, and then that would be either the alternative metal shingle colored the same as the roof. Or, you could use an asphalt shingle that's warranted. Someone is, under 312, as long as it has the membrane. If those are really what's on the table with this design option, we can add that to the,
Yeah, the front to back is flatter, than the 312. I was looking at the side, that side coat,
Mhm.
so.
And then the scallops would apply to the side elevations as well, right? Just-
On all
Yeah.
the gables, yes, that would be across the board, yes.
And actually, the rear elevation shows a strength of, Angela's comments about not taking the porch across. It really makes that stronger.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It makes it much stronger. And there's already changes. I mean, you're already making changes to the front of it, right? That we are accepting. So I think that, I mean, some of these windows appear like it's hard for me to say exactly, but because we don't have a front elevation, the existing elevation to compare, which is always good to have.
Well, yeah, and Maura and I had talked today, and I said, well, I'll have existing, I'll get the existing, but, we actually didn't, when we drew the elevations, we just drew what we were gonna do. I have the photos, which were part of the package.
Yeah.
In the back of your package, you should have all the existing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, oops, where's my photo page? Yeah.
To Angela's point, this small dormer is.
Yeah, so you've
it's
changed it,
gone.
added a gable, all that other stuff.
Yeah,
on the-
it's,
on the
it's quite
porch side.
extensive.
So we're kind of making, for me, that's a concession. You're changing the way the front of the building looks as it is, and we're gonna, and to say, so if, say this were in a more significant historic district or something, none of that would be allowed. If it were, say, it's just a different situation, a different community, whatever. They wouldn't allow any of that. So there are some concessions here as far as that goes for a historic building. To be changing the front appearance of the building is usually a pretty big deal. So to change some of it, I guess I understand there's some different things they want to do in the home or whatever, because adding this other gable portion to the front, that probably helps on the inside, right? So there's things like that, whereas this little chunk of porch makes quite a significant difference on the front elevation. So, you know, it's a little give and take there.
Okay, I guess when we say about the particular house, I guess my approach was as a historic element applied to this era of house, it would be appropriate. In your argument, I understand not this particular house.
That's the way it works.
Right.
Yes,
Okay,
that is the way it works.
that's fair.
So, and had there
Uh,
been
uh,
lots of other, you know, for instance, the porch, it's been changed before. So what you put back, so what you changed the porch to this time, you could kind of, well, in some instances, it would be, you either leave it the way it is or you put it back the way it was. Those would be the choices. Whereas here, we look at it like you can do something that is appropriate for that style of home, but we don't want to get too carried away. It's really the idea. Just keep it within, you know, get the general gist of the house still. You know, we want to keep, and one of the main things is that big vertical element there. We're not changing everything on the front of the house. So, you know, right now, to say that in this image, there's a vertical element, no one would say there is. There's no vertical element there at all. And it is partly because right next to it over here is another little gable, you know, so just taking up this part would make this stand out. This would kind of defer to it, and that would be, so I guess I find like that ends up acceptable, whereas you're changing the whole thing. So, you know, it's a historic district and it's been one for a long time. It's just the way it is. If it were somewhere else in town, it would be a different story.
I mean, one possible thought is, you know, keeping the deck running across, but leaving the left-hand side of it open. Or portico, or I'm just throwing out ideas. Is that, something was ever considered or would be considered to be, acceptable?
To do
And
what's that? Just the deck of the porch?
Oh,
Well, I'm saying if you left the roof on at the main entry porch on, and then you basically, took the roof portion off of where the vertical is. And, you know, so it's a deck, but the porch has no roof over it, so it's an open, I'm just asking, you know, as a point of compromise or just a thought about how to, you know, get some usable space, but, because that was one of the concerns, right? You know, usable front porch.
More usable if it was covered.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of
Right,
it
and-
is, yeah.
I mean, another consideration is with landscaping, you know, I mean, that lower portion is, you know, when you get landscaping in front of it anyway, you don't really see it. So you really just see the upper portion of that element.
We generally look at the building and not landscaping because landscaping gets so readily changed or it dies and doesn't get replaced. So we would look at the building rather than how landscape might interact with it.
Right. All right. Any other comments from the board? So at this point, we can have a vote based on,
Public hearing.
well,
Oh.
but before we can vote on the amended sketch that was presented. And then, you know, go for a vote tonight, or if you guys want to consider any alternates that we've discussed, some of the board members, have discussed about the porch not extending across the vertical, we can table it and, review any revisions.
Denise, do you want to make that call?
So the options are to vote on it or wait and make revisions and resubmit. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, or I think what's on the table is, you have the proposed revisions to the elevation and material for the roof for the porch. But that material would apply to the sides as well, but the porch is going to remain in its current position as it's drawn. Or if you guys want to consider relocating the porch so that it's not covering the vertical portion of the front, and we could vote on that. We could table it and vote on that at the next ARB.
So, I'm not really familiar with how this works, so,
So,
so if
So-
we table it, go ahead.
now I was gonna say, if we table it and you want to make some revisions and represent it to the board with the revisions, we could look at it at the next meeting and vote. Or we can vote tonight on what's been presented.
Okay, with the modifications that we've discussed, or?
Yes. So the modifications, if we wanted to table it, that would be if you want to consider any of the additional changes beyond what's been presented tonight. So if you're not considering any additional changes to the design, then we could go on and vote on what's presented. If a majority votes in favor of it, then your project's approved. If the majority votes against it, then it's disapproved with comments. And at that point, the revisions would have to be made, and there's additional steps you can take with the city.
Well, so, okay, so we discussed the scallops and then the half moon element. Just kind of want to go over these again, so those would be added back in, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And then we'd be changing the roof material for the porch.
It
Right?
would be shingles.
Yes, shingles, whether they be metal or asphalt that are similar color to the existing.
I think the general feeling is asphalt, so we don't get a textural difference.
Right.
Preference, yes. I've got that gist, yes.
Okay. And then I would like to leave the porch extending all the way across.
Right. All right.
So then we'd be going by this elevation.
Right. All right. So if you'd like, we can just go on and do a vote tonight. But before that, at the public hearing, is there anyone present or otherwise online that wants to make a comment about, sorry, 148 South Elm? And seeing no one or hearing no one else, we can go on and do a vote.
Make a motion to approve 148 South Elm per the amended elevation presented tonight.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed? Opposed.
All right, so at this point, the project has not been approved. And I think just checking in with the city on next steps. Um,
They can do what you said to begin with, though, if they wanted to change it and come back, they can do that. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
It's usually if
I
we
didn't
give
hear that.
recommendations.
right,
And
the
they-
recommendation,
Then they can go forward based on the recommendations if they choose to.
right.
Yeah. I
All
believe
right.
that's the case. I don't know if it varies for an historic district or not. That would be in, maybe, I wonder if Mara's here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, go.
We're just
they know what to
looking
do.
for a official determination on one
Next steps,
procedural
yeah.
item on next steps, so we don't, so we get it correct. 'Cause, sometimes if we make recommendations, and you all decide to go with the recommendations, then you would not need to come back before the board. However, we just want to verify that that is also applies to historic district as well. So that's why we're just taking a moment here so we can verify that.
Right, so we'll let Jim, we'll wait till Jim gets back.
Complicated. Contact Mara Perry and she's gonna, she'll,
I can handle.
she'll get
Yeah.
you the next steps.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next project, 41 Marshall Place. Anyone here for that?
I'm Mike Thomas, Webster Window and Door.
Welcome, Mike.
Hello.
Comments from the board?
Thank you for making the changes you're making.
Yeah, isn't it awesome?
Yes,
We're
it is.
super pumped about it.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, Mike. Anyone else here, since it's a public hearing, want to speak on 41 Marshall Place? Seeing no one or on Zoom? May I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve 41 Marshall Place as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? You are approved.
That was easy.
Thanks,
All
Mike.
right, thank you. See y'all later.
Have a good night. Next, we have 8 Marshall Place.
Good evening, Trey Segee. I'm joined here with my wife, Kelly Segee. We're the homeowners.
Tracy, Mike. I don't know if you heard a comment about the question about putting the grills in to match the house.
Yeah, so our main goal is to keep, obviously, the integrity of the house. We're very honored to be a part of that house and that district. Our goal is to keep the overall look. As far as the front, our goal is to keep the exact look. It's just the windows are very old. We came in at the winter time when we moved in, and it was very apparent that a lot of weather is still getting in. So we're trying to keep the structure of the windows, but just upgrade the windows. So that way we don't have to worry about the weather moving forward. And then as far as the side, the reason why we are looking to go without the grills is just the panes themselves are extremely small. So if you see any pictures of them, it's extremely small to look out of. And our biggest goal here is just to improve the view. If you've seen the overall house, it's beautiful as far as you're able to look outside. There's a lot of natural light. You're able to see all of the trees to the side. We want the similar look through those window panes, which we're not able to have today. So our bigger thing is just to allow for more light and to allow to those views. There's some really pretty trees there that we just want to enhance the view of inside the house. So we're not looking to rechange the structure by any means, and forgive my ignorance around the definition of what that structure means, but we're just trying to find the right balance of allowing more natural sunlight in those views while keeping the integrity of the overall house.
So I have to ask a question first that I like to ask people. You are changing out the windows, in particular, those front ones,
Yes, ma'am.
because I understand the wind comes in and so forth. Have you thought about, which it's not, it is an undertaking, but you can repair old windows and fix them all up just fine. But I don't know the condition of those exactly. You don't have to do it. I'm just wondering if you know that you can and that if that's an option for you.
We have looked into it. Just the financial burden of that is just, it's significant. The windows are so significantly old. What would be to keep them or get them up to where we can or don't have weather in it? It's a very significant cost. So we're trying to, again, keep the style of said house, just improve it to where, you know, we don't have to worry about these weather conditions anymore.
You know, for me, changing the grill patterns on the side does significantly impact the house because that elevation is visible from Elm. And higher standards do apply to sides of an historic home that are visible from the public right of way. And also too, the small pane windows are specifically called out in the National Register nomination as a character defining feature of the home. So I certainly understand if you have dysfunctional windows, obviously we all need to keep the weather out of our houses. But I think that the grill style needs to match what's there now in both locations, in the dormer and on the side.
And if we were to keep the grill style, now just considering where the grill is today, considering the size of the window, the grills themselves make the window panes extremely small. If we were to continue the grill, but make it more of a, again, forgive my ignorance around the definition, but more of like the 4, where we have more window space as opposed to the 8 panes, I believe, or I believe it's 8, maybe 6. Happy to include the grills, but the current one, they're just extremely small. So again, our goal is to keep the style and the structure, but allow for better viewing and more light. So if we can find a balance there, that's ultimately our goal.
Yeah, I'm looking at those windows and those panes just are really, to me, not that small. And, you know, this is an historic district and it is about how it looks from the outside. So I feel very strongly that that grill pattern needs to be retained.
And the existing the other windows that are on the house, on either side of that bay window, are those original windows in there with the grill patterns?
Those are the only original windows left, are
Those
those.
ones on the.
Correct. And if you notice, the other windows panes are the 4 that I'm referring to. So again, we still have the grill look, but it's just less grills, which allows for more viewing for the house.
It's the 3/3 on the upper sash.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that.
And if you'll notice, the others are not. They're
Mhm.
Nathan, did you have a question or something you wanted to add?
No, I was just gonna chime in that the patterns on the ones to the side of it are much larger grill configurations than the small ones. And by the small ones, we're referring to the ones on the side of the house, correct? Not the ones on the front of the house.
We're referring to keeping the grill patterns on all the windows that are proposed to change, both in the front dormer and on the side of the house.
Yeah, the ones on the side were the ones that I think we were more in question on, if we could reduce the number of grids to make them more consistent with the windows to either side. The ones on the front at the top, absolutely, those can stay with a single 1x1 pattern in each pane.
Yeah, I apologize for any confusion there. Absolutely trying to keep the grills in the front, the same way they look today. Just trying to lighten the grills on the side for more viewing and to match our other side windows as well.
So windows 6 and 7, the grills would change. All the other ones would look like they do now.
Yes, ma'am, correct.
Okay. Just to. And those are the ones that you would prefer they have no, it'd be a one light sash.
In a perfect world, yes, but I'm willing to compromise because I recognize the significance of the street and the integrity of the house. So
But those are original old windows. Those 6 light basements are old wood windows.
I can't speak to the originality of the windows.
They
were-
appear to be original. They're
They
not
look like-
capable of closing anymore all the way, but they are, I believe, the original.
So close enough.
Yeah, pretty close. Most of them are the original.
All right, so just so I'm clear now. So the 1 through 4, the grill, the new windows would have the same
Yes, sir.
as the existing
Yes, sir.
grill light pattern.
So it's just these ones right here that you want to change.
6 and 7.
Yes, ma'am, correct.
Yes. Is there a
So
5?
we'd just be getting rid of one horizontal.
So you're basically would be matching the grill pattern on the side to the grill pattern in the dormer.
Yes, I mean, the original proposal included none, just
Got
again
it.
for the natural light, but again, if for.
All right. I understand now.
2/2.
Yes, 2/2 for 6 and 7.
So it's just like the ones on the front.
Yeah, it would be.
What you
makes
do.
sense. Yeah.
I think
mean,
that's,
As a compromise, I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Me
so,
too.
because I think it would be a cohesive look to have the side match the ones in the dormer. So yeah, as a compromise, thank you. I'm good with that.
yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the character of the original house, and it's a slight change, but I think it would, if you guys are good with that, we can make a motion around that. All right. But first, it's a public hearing. Is there anyone else present that makes a comment about, that would like to make a comment about 8 Marshall Place?
Sounds like you guys have a good idea. Hi, Jeff Smith, 11 Marshall Place, right across the street.
Hey, Jeff.
I can, what's the word? Confirm the windows don't, or are at least hard to close. They were open one time during the winter when between when it was occupied, we had to call the realtor and have them come out and close it. It was like 15 degrees. So anyway, just wanted to express our support for this.
Okay,
So no reservations here.
great.
That's all.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right. With that, may I have a motion on 8 Marshall Place?
I'll make a motion to approve 8 Marshall Place with the understanding that the windows in the front dormer will be 2/2 and the windows on the left side elevation at the bay will also be 2/2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, you're approved as noted. Thanks.
Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks, Nathan. All right, next we have 302 Innsfeld Drive. Anyone here for that? All right. How's it going?
Good evening.
Good evening.
We get a little storm out here, so
Yes.
I hope you guys had a chance to view the actual proposed plans and everything else, but.
Do we have revised ones?
Oh, we don't.
No, we didn't get the revisions in. We're
Okay.
still trying
Oh.
to, you know, trying to get those in.
Okay.
I did not receive anything by email.
Oh.
And the person that's working on my drawings is actually revising some of the stuff, so.
Okay. Well, so.
Yeah.
So we're expecting,
There will be some revisions on the actual proposed plans and everything else, but I heard you guys talking about the actual windows
mm-hmm,
on the first floor, which those are planned to be replaced. All of those windows are actually rotten. That's like windows that
Yeah.
are out of
One comment was that the windows in the elevations look to be not the same size as the
Yeah.
existing. Are you replacing in kind in the same opening?
We're replacing the exact opening,
Okay.
with grid windows.
So it's a drafting thing, not a design thing.
Yeah, it's a drafting error. I mean,
Yeah.
we were like under a crunch for time to get the actual to go through the loan approval and everything else. And then, of course, coming into this hearing about it and everything else, so
Yeah,
it was a rush. Let's just say.
There's a number of drafting items that need to be cleaned up because all your plans say those are existing windows to remain, which is what I think creates the confusion.
Yeah, all of the
Um,
windows are getting replaced. We're getting all new vinyl windows with the specs, with argon and everything else, which they told me that the actual plan reviewers will need specs from the manufacturer and everything.
So did you happen to hear our work session with the
I've
comments?
heard most of them, so.
Okay,
But I did
okay.
not take notes because I just walked in, so.
okay, that's, if you would like, I mean, we could review them again or,
If we
I-
can go over this,
yeah.
if you don't mind,
Or
I
it's
mean, I'll take
also a-
notes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we could just go through the list, if that's helpful, and then,
Yeah, that way we can be on the same page. I mean,
yeah, and then I think the result will be we'll just table it, but you'll have the information. Make sure the next time we don't have to
Yeah.
discuss what we
Yeah,
already
we don't have to go over
discussed.
the same.
Right,
issues.
right. All right, so go ahead, Carol.
okay, what I'm going to review, I mean, you did in your comments now, you addressed some of it, but I'm going to just read the list as is, okay? The first one was to draw the grill patterns on the windows that you're proposed to have.
Okay.
Then the bay dimensions appear to be off, that front bay. And the windows also need to be shown in the size that actually fits into the opening. And it also needs to show the exact style, like if the sashes are unequal,
Mhm.
whatever it is that you're proposing, we need to be able to see that on the plans to see how the whole design works together. That window at the front kitchen window that's just to the right of the bay, that appears to not be drawn the correct size.
It is a larger window compared to the other windows that are literally 30 inches wide.
Okay, what I'm saying is the photograph, it appears to be a much larger window than is shown on the drawing. So if you're going to be replacing that window with a window of the same size that fits in the opening, we need to be able to see that accurate size.
Yeah, I
Um,
can actually make those changes.
And then also that on the rear elevation, there's a glass block window in the bathroom that's shown as, on the plan, it says it's existing to remain, but it's drawn as a double hung. So whatever you're,
It's drawn as a double hung, but it's remaining with the glass block, the same as the windows on the basement. Those are not getting replaced.
okay,
So I'm keeping the glass blocks.
okay, so that all needs to be put on the plans and the plans and the elevations need to match. And then go ahead and please show the basement windows on the elevation drawings. They're currently not shown. And then on the left side elevation, the spacing of the existing windows appears to be different in the photographs than are shown on the drawing. And also the garage
The
appears,
garage does have a window and an actual door that will remain. Those openings will remain.
okay, we need to show that. That needs to be shown on the plans and on the elevations because they currently are not shown at all or addressed at all. And that the spacing of the left side elevation windows needs to be corrected. And the garage appears to be taller and on the,
It's a 7.5, there's a 7-foot door currently there, and it's got a 4-12 pitch on the roof. It just, the location that I took the photo from is closer to the actual structure because I did not want to step on the neighbor's property, to
I understand that, but there on the drawings, there's appears to be significantly more siding above the overhead door than I'm seeing on the photograph. So it looks like there might be some drawing adjustment or field.
Probably an adjustment on height on the actual garage.
Yeah, so that just a verification of the field measurement and show the actual dimensions, that would be helpful. And just, kind of take a quick look through and correct labels as far as what's gutters and what's a ridge vent and what's a,
what's
gable
yeah.
vent and that kind of thing. Let's see.
And just to let you know too, this is recorded, so if you want to get your direct
Right.
person to rewatch this and get all. the
Yeah, I
notes.
mean, it will help
way you
a
don't have
lot,
to-
so that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's an existing front door surround and we kind of need to know whether that's staying or
It
going.
is remaining, but we are replacing the front door. And
Okay.
we plan to add an actual door with glass, basically a small section. It's like a
Mm.
2 foot by 3 foot section with actual grids in it.
Okay, okay.
So I can have that drawn. And since our concrete at the front of the house sank and everything else, we have to replace the front porch. So we propose to actually add a covered entry. So it's a lot more convenient for the person who's gonna move into that house and
Yeah.
not to worry about getting rained on.
I agree. I agree that it's great to have a nice
Yeah.
sense of entry like that. If you could please develop the porch drawings a little more fully. Right now, it's just kind of shown as posts with just kind of a stick-built roof that doesn't have any trim or anything on it. So if you could develop that a little more fully and show your trim like on the corners and the rake boards and all of that, because all of these things really contribute to the overall look at the
Yeah,
house.
I mean, our goal is to actually bring a better curb appeal to the current structure. That's why we added the dormers on the roof that are supposed to be centered right above the bedroom windows and everything else, but the dormers were added last minute, so that was a suggestion by the homeowner, and I'll be the GC on it, so I'm like, yeah, we can add the dormers to actually have them centered with windows on the second floor.
Well, I appreciate that you're working to improve the curb
Yeah,
appeal.
that's the whole
I mean, that's great. And yeah, we really like to see all of that reflected on the drawings.
The property has been really neglected for 25 years. So when we entered it, it's like, okay, what can we do to make this more beautiful? So with our lenders' requirements and everything else, we had to, originally, we wanted to add the exact same square footage going up to the second floor and everything else, but we had to reduce it by some 80 square feet and everything else. So it eliminated some of the actual line out. So there's gonna have to be some flashing. We have to raise our brick, like the chimney has to be raised above the actual
Right.
roof ridge line. We went with a 6/12 pitch instead of a 4/12 pitch to give it more aesthetics and everything else. And I just found out about our waiver for the tree preservation and all of that stuff. We had to outsource it to a specialist that actually gave us a solution to our tree and the preservation and all of that. So all of that has came down like since Monday, so.
It sounds like a busy time.
Rolling list.
Yeah, and I
The
think,
one thing is I've always asked, I mean, it's a lot easier for me to call or come down here and actually ask them in the building division, what do you guys want? What do I need to do to make sure that I'm in compliance with everything, so that way that there's no issues?
yeah, I think we have a couple of more items from like that downspout that's on the middle of the front elevation.
Yeah,
If that
we
can
gotta
be
go.
moved.
That has to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
if we keeping the dormers, that's the whole point of the actual front porch.
Hmm.
We can have an actual gutter that's coming, we're gonna put gutters on the actual front porch. Have the gutter routed into that roof, into the actual gutter that's off the front porch, and then go to the side of the house. So we also eliminate the actual water waste or the water piling up in the middle of the yard.
And then I think that some of the other board members had comments.
I think there was comment about adding considering adding windows to the bedrooms on the sides.
Bedrooms on the sides.
Especially the left side, I think
That's listed as bedroom 14 on the side.
my comment, I originally had sent a comment about adding it to both of those bedrooms if that was considered. But at least one of them. You know,
Well-
from the inside,
The problem, if we talking from the side that the actual chimney is on,
the left side, yes.
the left side, it is not possible to add an actual window on that side because we are leaving some of the existing ridge or roof line. So it's impossible to keep that area there, to put an actual window in there. Which I was thinking about putting actually two windows into that bedroom.
I'm talking about on the plan right here.
Yeah.
Anywhere along that elevation.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a flat floor plan plate and a flat wall, so that was the question. Can you add a window on that? That's on the left side.
which page are you looking at? So it can be
That's
actually-
the second floor plan.
Second floor
It's
plan.
bedroom 114. Yeah, that's not gonna be, there's not gonna be a roof in the way. That's all new
Yeah, on the
construction.
new construction, but it's like, if you look at the side elevation drawing, you will. see
Yeah,
that
so what I'm saying is just add a window to the bedroom, I'm not talking about the garage side, I'm talking about the
on the
opposite
other
side.
side.
There's
And
not
that's
gonna
actually this.
be any roof structure.
Yeah,
This
that
Right.
roof would come off.
This section here of the roof has to remain to the actual brick.
Right. So there's,
Since the bedroom is coming right here, it's gonna be really tough to.
put a window in here or add a window, so you could put a window on the end. I mean, I think, yeah, it just seems like a big bedroom with one little bitty window.
That whole roof would come off though.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't that come off?
So you have one
One
piece of framing
thick
within the wall.
frame.
So
Why does that have to stay?
This is a vendor's requirement and our actual square footage on the second floor that messed up our plans in the first place.
It seems to me like you could just remove that without affecting the square footage anyway.
What's
Yeah,
not,
so then the plan is drawn wrong. Like,
Right,
so
something's-
because it shouldn't look like you could put a window there if you, if it's not space, if it's not square footage, then it should show something that where like either the wall is over it, I mean,
the wall goes
the-
inboard more?
yeah, or whatever that is.
See if I
you're saying
have-
the last roof rafter has to remain on the left side?
One of the, if you look at the front elevation, we
Mhm.
have
Yeah.
an actual, well, it's actually on the other side. So this has to remain literally right by the garage area.
Right,
So
okay.
our square footage.
That I can see because
Yeah.
you've got the existing roof framed in there.
Yeah,
So it was really on the opposite
it's on the
side.
opposite side. So yeah, I could add an actual window.
Okay,
That wouldn't be a problem. I mean, it's
Okay.
just adding the exact same size, an egress window to it.
sure. I think the comment was really on the left-hand side, just seemed a little, a lot
Empty.
of
It seemed
empty, but like thinking inside and out too, that bedroom, has one small window, so I think it would benefit from another window. If you put it on the left side, it might make it a nicer space inside and out, really. So that was so if you could if that sounds agreeable,
Of course, I mean, this is the thing. I
um,
have to make it to the standards with you guys.
well,
And-
it's not, I mean, if we have suggestions, but some of it is, I think, just, trying to help find the best project that fits the neighborhood. So that's really the goal, together with,
Well, yeah. to build
Yeah.
up- I mean, this is the thing, it's been an eyesore to everybody.
sure,
And from my last adventure with the next door neighbor and the talk with him, I found out that somebody actually had started some actual work in there. And then they kind of walked away.
Yeah.
So they kind of tore out certain things. I've asked them if I could actually clean out the space and do the proper, proper demolition and everything else that needed to be done interior. And I was advised not to do anything until I actually have my building permits in hand and approvals and everything else before. That's
Yeah.
a nightmare.
That's a good
And paying an
idea.
extra fine.
That's a good idea.
So I wanted to mention that
Any other
where
comments?
the
Yeah, go ahead.
transition of the brick to the siding. I
So,
understand it's a little tricky there, but
well,
I
the
would recommend maybe
transition,
adding something to step it.
I could add an actual, let's say, an actual area that's separates the brick from the siding, like a piece of molding or something to add character to it. Let's say 8 to 10 inches just from the bottom between the brick and that, and then have my channels, the
So
siding.
that you'd have flashing and flashing.
Flashing around it. and
Yeah,
everything
so you
else,
get
So it actually,
steps of, it's not step flashing, I guess, but you know, yeah, there.
to give it more an aesthetic look, it. you know,
And
Yeah,
having
and
such
it's
a
to-
horizontal.
I mean, I
slab
do not know what
catches
your actual
water.
requirement is on shutters and everything else, because I forgot to tell them that I'm actually putting shutters, not closable shutters, but actual design, the
Yeah.
design shutters that give it we're going with the black and white. And there's also the potential of actually brick, like whitewashing the brick to give it the better.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
a suggestion, but
I think all of that is, the board doesn't really comment on color, but probably most of us would say, well, why paint the brick? But
yeah, I know, but if we, since we're going with the 6-inch black gutters and everything else, white siding to give it the modern look and. all of
Well,
that
it's a
stuff.
fad, but it's not
Right, it's a
necessarily
fad.
modern. It's a
once the
fad.
paint peels off
Be
down the
sure-
line.
And if you do paint the brick, be sure to paint it properly. You can't just slap on some acrylic paint,
Well,
so.
it's like the whitewash, like the old farmhouse whitewash.
Yeah,
Because we have white siding that's planned to go upstairs, an actual white siding with black shutters around the windows and everything else, so it kind of all blends in. And black 6-inch gutters, posts on the actual front porch to be covered, wrapped aluminum and all of that stuff. So it's like to give it modern, but also keep it a little bit. My customer has a very, very interesting design idea, how she likes to do things, so.
Well, that would be good. If you add, I mean, the added part, that's fine. The black and white business is fine. But I think it would be, I personally, I think it'd be kind of neat if you have the brick with the black and white, it sort of does blend the old and the new. So
Mhm.
however you want to do that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, she's got a specific way of how she likes to do things, and it's like, you know what? We
Right.
can have a million things on paper, but guess what? When the actual thing comes in and she sees it in front of her and she's got some vision, she wants it.
Yeah.
So, extra 2 lights around the door, the actual actual glass inside the entry door that makes, makes it cozy.
Sure. So I think we've been through the list. At this point, if those revisions are made on the drawings when they're resubmitted to the city,
Okay.
it'll
They
come back.
told me to submit them till Tuesday, so that way you. guys
Yeah.
can have-
If you get them all in by Tuesday, I think that's get to you on the next list. And then if all those changes are on there, we can move forward.
Okay, that sounds ideal.
All right. Well, we will table this for tonight and you have a good evening. Thank you.
Perfect. So
Thank
no
you.
vote tonight?
No vote tonight.
Perfect. Better than a rejected vote.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
guys.
Take care. All right, last on our agenda for this evening is 818 Holland, new single-family dwelling. It's preliminary. Good evening.
Recommendations.
Yeah, are you the homeowner or?
Oh, no, I'm Anthony Duncan.
Oh, hey,
Architect
okay.
in
Hey,
St. Louis.
welcome, Anthony.
Mhm.
All right. So yeah, you have the list of
You-
comments sent prior, and I don't know if you want us.
I got them, actually, I just got them before I came. So I've gone through them in detail with the owners over here too and this builder.
Okay,
So I think we have confidence we can address these
okay,
in an intelligent way.
sure. Go ahead.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Add window, do you have it in front of you? Add
Yep.
windows to south elevation at the second floor in the bedrooms or transom windows in the walk-in closets. So we went over these because we had quite a lot of time to go over them.
Yep.
And we're in agreement to do that.
Okay,
It's a lot of windows.
well,
Most of this is about windows, it seems, but
Yeah, I
they're
think
in
the,
agreement.
no, the question would be, so just so we're clear,
Yeah.
you would add windows to which
Well,
rooms?
if you look at the south elevation on page A5,
Yep.
they're asking for more or less, and also if we look at the same time, second floor on A4. We have a blank wall or a solid wall in each one of those bedrooms on the level 2.
Yeah.
We would add a window on those solid walls. I think that's what this comment was about.
So you would be adding a window to bedroom 2 and to bedroom 3, is it?
1, 2, and 3.
Oh, okay. One window to each of those.
Now, the ones on bedroom 3, which is the north, the south side of the house,
Mm-hmm.
we would extrapolate the windows from below
Yeah,
and reflect that.
okay.
Because we'd also put the smaller windows, windows that are just fixed, they don't cost that much according to the builder. So we would window the closets as well. The closets, walk-in closets between bedroom 2 and bedroom 3. We put a bedroom
Just a
or a window in
transom,
each one of
yeah.
those. A
The
higher
transom,
window. Mhm.
okay. Got it. And then the one in bedroom 1 is on which elevation?
That's gonna be on the east.
In the east.
Yeah. Well, the north is actually, that's the, bedroom 1 is back here.
I can't really do
Uh-huh.
bedroom one.
Yeah.
Yeah. you
Is that
can't
what we're
really do
referring
it
to?
in the east.
That's mostly behind a roof though.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't think you
So
can.
maybe that isn't really even addressing
I-
bedroom 1.
I don't
Yeah.
think it was I didn't have a
I think
comment.
it's just for 2 and 3.
Right, that's fine. Okay. All right, additional notes?
Yeah, I think that it would help the balance of the front porch if a column were added to the left side of the front door.
Yeah, I saw that. I can do it. It's not structural.
Yeah, it's a visual balance
Yeah.
thing. It kind of frames the front door nicely, I think. And I think there was also a question about if those are just going to be straight posts or if there's any sort of trim that's proposed.
Or wrap them or.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
would
what's the-
probably put a 1 by wrap and we build up the bottom and the top.
Okay, so it'd be a 1 by wrap with a base and cap
Yeah.
trim.
This looks to be kind of a farmhouse aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
so it'll be a little bit more mundane than we would have on some of the more
Simple.
ornamental houses.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. I think it would be perfectly appropriate. It would just give it a little more dimension.
You know, one thing that it wasn't really brought up, but I was gonna bring it up, is the stone veneer.
Yeah,
That's a pretty important part, I think, because how the house looks from the street. And so I was talking to the builder about it, and he's looking at some kind of a masonry, natural stone product. Be about 4 inches thick, and we lay that up with mortar and probably with some kind of a brick tie.
Right.
A flexible brick tie. And then there's a twin house that's gonna go in after this one's done and finished and sold. We'll build a house next to it, and they'll probably change that stone out to something else, whether it be brick or it's some other accent masonry piece, but it'll make the 2 houses have some differential. May I move on to the second comment?
yeah.
Consider adding a window in the master bedroom left side. So master bedroom, I believe, is on level 1. Left side is going to be the north side. And so what the owner was asking, can he do 2? Can he
Mhm.
do a balance of 2 windows on that master's bedroom? But this is I should have brought a bigger drawing. This is our master bedroom. We put a window here, a higher window, and here.
Yeah, that's,
Instead
I
of
think
just
that'd be
one.
great. Yep, that would be fine.
Do the exterior materials at the garage match the house? The answer is yes. They would match in color and pattern.
Okay.
I'll move on. Consider matching style of garage windows to house windows. So it's funny how much work you do when you're waiting. He would like to add windows on these ends. He's gonna put the gable vent in that you discussed, but he would like to add windows so they're balanced on both sides. I think the simple window on just one is fine, especially in a place like Webster where the garages were never that valued. They usually are put in later on many times. But we can add, he's interested in adding windows instead of having one, having two.
On the south elevation.
Yeah. Is that correct, Joe? Oh, yeah, here's the thing. It's the garage door.
Mm,
I put that garage door in, so I thought, oh, we'll do a nice garage door for Webster. He would like to pull back from that and just do a simple overhead segmented door
Like a paneled style, but without
without the glass.
glass.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wonder why? It's just down the cost. It's such a big expense for that sort of door.
I think that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it isn't the garage is not up in the front. It's way in the back end. We look at the site plan, it's quite a ways back.
yeah.
We can't really see it that well anyway. Yeah, it's way back here. Here's street, here's our garage, and it's, even the garage door isn't even facing the street. You come in and go around. Well, actually, it's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
Mhm.
windows, so the garage door is gonna be no windows, but the, north or just the south elevation is gonna get two windows instead of
South
one?
and north, both sides. Well, so he's gonna add 2 extra windows, so the 4 windows. in the
Okay.
garage. You're right.
Got it.
It should.
Yeah.
Webster's usually not resistant to more windows. Can I, can I move on? We're ready?
Yes, please.
Does the garage door style, okay, we talked about the garage door. What is the chimney material? Good question. We're gonna use it as the same siding material that we have now. It's gonna be a horizontal lap. And I believe what the owner would like to have is a vinyl siding.
So the chimney will be vinyl siding?
Yes, that's what they're proposing. That's what I'm proposing.
Some of the gables that like to get vertical siding, you know, maybe in front of the house.
Okay, let's do the chimney first.
Right, it's just trimmed out with the same
Yeah,
as the
we
rest of
trimmed
the
out
house.
Corners,
Okay.
journals, et cetera.
I think it was just, it wasn't clear.
I understand.
It might be a hard proposition to get that, kick in the chimney.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
kind of a
vinyl siding.
masonry, that little kick on the back,
What do you
that's
call
kind of
that?
a masonry aesthetic. You have to be like a little roof.
Yeah. I mean,
But we'll
it's-
figure it out in
yeah.
detailing. But no, it wouldn't be a chimney, little, knee piece. It would be something else.
Okay, and we were just hearing remarks about changing to vertical siding in some of the gables. Is that correct? Did I hear that correctly or no?
I think what Joe is saying in the gable field, he was interested in something, some kind of
Yeah.
a vertical. You
Okay,
can do vertical siding nowadays. So we'd have a termination board, like a freeze board down at the bottom.
Mhm.
okay.
And then we have we have some kind of vertical, like a seamed, board and batten is what the aesthetic was.
Are you proposing that in just that front gable or in other gables as well?
The front ones, there's 2 of them. There's one here, there's one here.
Yeah,
So
on
gable
both
both.
front gables?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The porch is a bit shallow. Recommend extending it out a foot or so. We agree. Right now it's at 4 foot and we're gonna extend it to 6 feet. So it'll go up to this corner.
Okay.
So the corner of the house, we'll have the porch go all the way out. We talked about the columns. There are gonna be a square column and we'll do we'll dress them out with 1x. And then we'll also dress out the bottom and the top, cornice and base. The north and south walls are a bit blank. we're adding windows to the south especially. And we're adding 2 other windows in the master bedroom here as well. So I think they'll be less blank. Farmhouses, they were a little blank anyway. And they're on the side. That's my response. Recommend adding windows to a variety of locations. It's kind of like what we had up above. Add windows to bedrooms 2 and 3. We discussed that. Add windows to the master, we discussed that one too. Add a column to the left, to the front. We talked about that. As suggestions only. Okay. Oh, and then, window in the kitchen and add gable louvers at garage. Add another side window to the kitchen. I gotta cover that one. Okay. It's on the north. Okay. So here's the kitchen. Here's that window. So we would add, I don't want to add one on the right because that's where the stove is. We would probably, you want it right there, but that's where the stove, I'll add one. It's going to be over here, or it's too crowded on this side. Yeah, and you have upper cabinets there too. What if we put it, we have the pantry. We could put one in that pantry area, mimic this one, right over in here,
I think that would be fine.
drawing
That's
upside down and
yeah.
that, okay. We got the louvers in the garage. That's our list. Shingle wise, usually they ask, I think, what I understand, it's an architectural 3-tab shingle. Is there anything to add to that? Architectural 3-tab shingle. Is there anything else we can add to that? No. Okay. Yeah.
The chimney may not go up the whole second floor because if it's a gas chimney, then they just come out and put the.
Oh, if it's a ventless.
If it's a ventless gas.
Well, let's talk about, that's a big design issue. So if he's considering a ventless, which means I don't need to have a fully vented fireplace at all, it would just be this, more or less it's a box. We've all seen them with the puck
That's
on the
fine.
back.
That's
And
fine.
we would just
Yeah,
side that.
I prefer that over a vinyl chimney going all the way up.
I
Yeah,
kind of am
when
too.
they're vinyl, it looks.
I had
very-
asked him, do you want to make it out of brick before I got up here? And he said, well, no.
Right, right.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do a ventless fireplace and I'll redesign that.
Sounds good.
Do you think we could revise,
A lot of changes.
revise and then get Mara to bump it for next week?
It's preliminary, and I think with the number of items that we have, I think we would need to see the
Yeah.
drafted, just to make sure that everybody's in agreement. I think it's in the best interest of the project, and we certainly, I appreciate y'all going through this with us and taking such great care to take the notes and make the modifications. That's really appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think, your revisions to the suggestions, all of those are picked up, and if they're into the city by Tuesday, right? That they would be on the next one, and you guys know how things would go, because we already talked about them.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, well, see you guys at the next one. Appreciate it. Have a good evening. All right, with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Bolt.